Photoperiodism and flowering. Flowering is a very interesting phenomenon because flowering makes this planet beautiful and colorful. Every one of us want to know how a plant is going to produce flowers. Now, most of the times we see that a plant will be in its vegetative stage, and after some time that is going to be converted into reproductive phase. Now when I see this, what are these factors that are making this plant to convert from vegetative to reproductive phase? If you understand that, light is having a profound influence on how this plant is going to be converted into its reproductive phase. Now here, if we see that, the first and foremost thing, we call it influence of light on flowering. Let's try to understand this, how this light is going to be influencing on flowering process. Then we need to understand about a concept called right to flower. What is this right to flower condition? Now you know, not all the plants, the moment when a plant or when a seed, it is going to germinate and when it is producing the seedling, can it immediately be converted into, its flowering stage? It cannot do that. But it has to produce certain basic vegetative structure it has to produce. How much time it will take to produce that basic vegetative structure? If you see, most of these annual grasses, it takes 7 leaf stage, that is what we call it. If there are 7 leaves that are produced, then most of these annual grasses, we can see that they can produce flowers. And most of your weedy annuals, how many days that it will take to produce these 7 leaves? That is going to be 2 to 3 weeks. Now, in some cases, in exceptional cases, we have a plant by name Photoperiodism nil. So this Photoperiodism nil, what we are seeing it here, this Photoperiodism nil, it comes to flowering just within 1 day after the cotyledons have emerged. So after knowing about this one, that light is having influence on making the plant to convert from vegetative to reproductive stage, how is it done? That's what we want to understand. And in today's lecture, we will start our discussion with something called photoperiodism. Now what is this photoperiodism? We call this one photoperiodism. It is the response by an organism to synchronize its body with changes in day length. I am using a term here called day length. We will be discussing about what is the importance of this day length. Now at higher latitudes, this is important because the change in the length of the day, that is going to indicate the season. Now again, we have to understand about the season there. Now, sometimes, days when are getting shorter, that is going to indicate winter is approaching, whereas days are getting longer, that indicates summer is approaching. Some plants, they are going to regulate their flowering in this way. Now, let's try to understand about photoperiodism. Here, if you see that the higher latitudes, that means the higher latitude, somewhere here we are talking about, and somewhere here we are talking about, in the higher latitudes, we have this profound influence of light. It doesn't mean that in other latitudes, influence of light is not there on flowering process of plants. But at higher latitudes, there is profound influence. Now let's try to define what is this photoperiodism. Photoperiodism is the response of the plant to the relative length of day and night. Or it can also be said that photoperiodism is a mechanism that enables plants to respond to day length so that they flower at a specific time of the year as determined by the length of the year. So in the length of the year, at what time that plant has to flower, that is going to be decided by the light, and that response, if you are studying, we call it as photoperiodism. So remember that photoperiodism is the response of the plants to the relative length of day and night. Now, if you little go back and see that who actually worked on this particular phenomenon, the first one the first experiment of this kind was done by Garner and Allard with a tobacco variety that is, this is that Maryland mammoth. That was the variety they studied. And there is another one is also there, that is glycine max. In that plant also they worked. So here, what is that they observed? This tobacco variety Maryland mammoth, it did not flower in summer, even if it reached 10 to 15 feet height. You can see that even if that is 10 to 15 feet height, if it is there, it could not flower. But what happened in winter? Now if it is winter, you can see that this can flower before it is reaching just a height of 5 feet. So then they understood that there is something like, it is not just the height of the plant. That means there is something is also there that is deciding the flowering. And what they understood here is if they changed that light, and artificially they have done some experiments with this tobacco variety Maryland mammoth, that means they tested it in artificial light, that in summer, though that means higher light it is there, though it is 10 to 15 feet height, no flowering will be there. And if in winter, even if the plant is small, then that is going to what? Flower. Now, they have studied this concept of photoperiodism, and they classified plants as short day plants. And previously when I was talking, I have asked you to remember something called as, day length. So now based on that, we are classifying these plants here. One, we call it as short day plants. Second, it is long day plants. Then day neutral plants. Then short long day plants and long short day plants. Now let's go back and see one more time. Short day plant, long day plant, day neutral plant, short long day plant, and long short day plant. Now, the moment when we discuss about this photoperiodism, there is one confusion that comes to our minds. What is this confusion? When I say that short day and long day, the moment I say that, it strikes to your mind that short day is something like day length less than 12 and long day is day length more than 12. But actually it is not. I am trying to clarify this particular point in this slide. You can follow this carefully. That what is a long day plant? I am showing here long day plant like red clover, where it is greater than 9 hours day length. Oats, it is greater than 12 hours. Winter wheat, it is greater than 12 hours. Now, for example, if you think that only those plants which flower greater than 12 hours if it is long day, if you think like that, how about this particular thing like red clover? And there are some other species where there is day length, it is 9 to 16. That means what? 12 hours concept is not correct there. Similarly, go to this short day plants here. In short day plants, again, same thing. Like, chrysanthemum, it is less than 15 hours, whereas tobacco, it is less than 14 hours. And xanthium, if you see, that is 15.5 or less. That is its day length, and we call it as a short day plant. So our concept must be clear here. See that in case of day neutral plant, what happens? They do not respond to day length. And examples like cucumber is an example, maize is an example for that, and tomato is an example for that. And the underlining point for us here is, does 12 hours day and 12 hours night fits in this example? Answer for that is a big no. It is not 12 hours, more than 12 hours long day, less than 12 hours short day. No, it all depends upon something, what I call it as, I'm showing it here, I'm using a term, we call this one as critical day length. Now, let's try to understand this concept of critical day length. What is this critical day length? Look at this graph, or look at this chart carefully, where we can see that this red line, wherever I am showing this red line, this one we are talking about. So this is representing this short day plant, whereas this blue colored one, so this one, so this is representing that long day plant. Now short day plant means what? Somewhere here is its day length. Now what happened here, if that day length is, so whatever the day length here we are seeing, that day length is less than this particular, maybe it is around 16 hours. So if it is less than 16, now you can see that all the plants here, what is the percent of flowering we can find there? That is 100% of the plants, they're all flower. And now as the day length is more than that, what happened? None of them have flower. So this is what we call it as a short day plant. Then how about this long day plant? For example, this is its critical value. So at this critical value, if you see that up to this, there is no flowering. Flowering is 0 here, but when it crossed that, immediately it is raised and the flowering has reached to this 100%. Now you can see there. Now we have to understand this particular concept called as critical day length or the critical values. You may ask me a question here that how a plant has developed this critical day length. In the evolutionary process, it has picked up a certain day length, and according to that, if it is flowering when it is attaining critical day length and more than that, we are classifying that as long day plant. If it is flowering at less than its critical day length, we are classifying that one as a short day plant. Moving on, what is this short day plant? As we have discussed, short day plants readily flower when day length is below or less than this critical day length. So what is this critical day length? The photoperiod required to induce flowering is called as critical day length. So what is the other name of this short day plants? The other name of this short day plants, as you can see it here, we also call it as long night plants. Now, are there different types of short day plants? Yes, there are. We have quantitative short day plants are there and qualitative short day plants. I'm going to explain it in a little while from now. Now, let's see here in this picture. Now, I'm depicting here, this is up to this it is day and this is night. Now, we are going to see what is going to be the response of that. So, first case we have seen, in the first case I'm saying that this is 16 hours, that is this 16 hours is day there, and this one we can call this one night period, it is 8 hours. Under that circumstances, there is no flowering. I'll explain it why there is no flowering. In the second case, I'll see that in the second case where there is 8 hours is the day here and 16 hours is the night here, we are observing flowering there. Let's move on and see that in the third case, we can observe it here that there is a night break, and when there is a night break, there is no flowering. Moving on, we can see that there is flowering. In this case, we have something called as daybreak. Based on that, we need to find out what is its critical day length. Now think what is going to be its critical day length. Its critical day length is 8 hours. How can we say that this is a short day plant? Now in the first case, you see that when we are seeing that this is 8 hours and this is 16 hours and there is no flowering. Now what happened? Now day is going to be what? Day is in this case, day is 8 hours and night it is 16 hours. That means as the day is less, so here that is 8 hours, then we are going to see that there is flowering. In the third case, which is interesting here, we can see here it is day length is 8 only. Normally speaking, it has to flower. But what you have done here, you have given a night break. That means you have given a flash of light there. That means it is going to be, it is not 8 hours, it is going to be 8 hours plus something. That 8 hours plus something, the moment it moves to 8 hours plus, then we are going to see that there is no flowering. But again, if 8 hours is there, then you have given a day break here. It doesn't matter to that. If you are going to give the day break, that is good for a short day plant, and we are going to observe flowering here. So this is how we are going to understand what is this critical day length. Hope this example is clear for you. Think that if it is 8 hours, when it is 8 hours and less than 8 hours, then you call it as what? Short day plant. Now let me explain it here that in short day, as I discussed, there is a qualitative short day plant and a quantitative short day plant. Now let's see that qualitative short day plant, or otherwise I'm going to call it as obligate, whereas quantitative I call this one as facultative photoperiodic types. In case of qualitative plants, where we can see that a particular photoperiod is, remember this one, a particular photoperiod is an absolute requirement. That means it must be there. If it is not there, again, it is not going to respond and it is not going to flower. For example, you can take rice as an example for that. Chrysanthemum is an example. Tobacco, xanthium, and Japanese morning glory are some of the plants which are examples for your qualitative short day plant. Remember that if it is qualitative, it has got that absolute requirement. Moving on, we can see that quantitative short day plants where they can respond for both short and long days. For example, if you see that it is cotton, cosmos and hemp, where you can see wheat and rye, which are quantitative long day plants, they will flower even under short days, but flowering is more accelerated under long days. So here our understanding here is what is a qualitative plant, qualitative short day plant, and what is this quantitative short day plant. Then we will move on to long day plants. So what is this long day plant? Long day plant is otherwise called as short night plant. Previously short day plants we called it as long night plants. Now it is long day plants, we call it as short night plants. What is this long day plant? This long day plant, they readily flower when day length is above or greater than that critical day length. So here we can see, like previously we took one example, now another example we'll take it here. In the first case, day is, here we can see that in the first case day it is 11 hours and the night it is going to be what? 13 hours. Now under that conditions, what is the response? It is going to be what? Flowering. Whereas in the second case, this is 10 hours here day and 14 hours is the night, and you can see that there is no flowering. And in the third case, you have added something, that is a daybreak is added here. Now what has happened? There is no flowering again. Now another thing we can see here, you have added a night break there and we have seen there is flowering. Now based on this, this is a long day plant, and what is going to be its critical day length? If you can see that its critical day length is going to be 11 hours. Now understand, if 11 hours it has got flower. Here less than 11 hours it did not flower. And here again you have given a day break, right? 10 hours it is there and you have added some break here. So that means it is going to be what? Lesser. Again it is no flowering. And daybreak, if you give a night break, what happens? If you give night break, its day length is more than 11 and you are going to find it flowering. So in all the cases, like both in short day and long day conditions, what we have to see here is if it is achieving that critical day length, more than critical day length if it is flowering, it is long day. Less than critical day length if it is flowering, then that is going to be what? Short day condition. Now similarly in case of short days, you have qualitative and quantitative types in case of long day also. So what are these qualitative long day plants here? Like previously also I explained there, it is wheat, barley and henbane, spinach and sugar beet. That's going to be qualitative long day plants. And in case of quantitative long day plants, we can find lettuce, bluegrass and clover are the examples for this quantitative long day plants. Now when I see that qualitative long day means what? It is an absolute requirement. Whereas quantitative, then it can be flowering in little bit like short day conditions also, it is going to what? Flower. Then there is another thing, we call it as day neutral plants. What is this day neutral plant? This day neutral plant, is it responding to that light? No, we call it as something, we call it as photoperiod insensitive. We call this one as photoperiod insensitive. These plants are going to flower, they will initiate flowering irrespective of day length. Then best examples for that, it is tomato, is there maize, garden pea and sunflower are some of the examples for your day neutral plants. Now this is a tongue twister here. What is this short long day plant? What is this short long day plant? These short long day plants, they require a number of short days. Remember that they require number of short days followed by long days before flowering is induced. So what is that we have to understand here? So this short long day plant, they require a number of short days followed by long days before flowering is induced. Winter rye is an example for that. Candy tuft is an example. So here, this type of plants, they flower in late spring or early summer, following the shift from short to long days. Here, that's what we understood here. This is a number of short days that are to be followed by these long days. That is from late spring or early summer, when they are flowering, these days are going to be shifting from short to what long days. So that's the reason why we are calling it as a short long day plants. Moving on, we have long short day plants again. Long short day plants means reverse. It is that sequence of here long day plants. I mean sequence of long days followed by short days. For example, bryophyllum, 60 long days followed by 15 short days. Night blooming jasmine, we can see 5 long days followed by 2 short days. So this is what we call it as a long short day plant. So I think you understood the classification of the plants. Who proposed this classification? This was proposed by Garner and Allard. Now we can see it. There are short day plants, long day plants, day neutral plants, short long day plants and long short day plants. This is what we understood. Now, here comes a question. So, which part of the plant is going to perceive this induction? So, whether it is the root that is getting the signal or stem that is getting the signal, the apex of the plant that is getting the signal or the leaf that is getting the signal. So, this is the first of its kind of experiment was conducted by Knott and Knott. So, here Knott was the first one to identify that this photoinduction is perceived by the leaves. You know, he demonstrated a very nice experiment he planned. What is that he has done? He has taken this spinach here. So the spinach leaves, he has exposed the spinach leaves to long day condition and apex of this plant to short day condition. So he has taken a plant, has exposed the leaves to long days and apex to the short days. Now, he understood that